Podpackers community. Welcome back to another episode of Podpackers, the podcast where we tell travel stories you won't hear on the nightly news. I'm your host, Clarissa, and today our guest is the definition of a free spirit. She's someone who decided that a traditional life in Texas wasn't enough when the whole world was waiting to be explored. She's originally from Houston, but broke out of her local bubble to embrace a life of movement that led her to realize that the world is far more accessible than we've been told. And today she's here to encourage anyone standing on the edge of a big decision to finally take that leap of confidence and start living for themselves. Please welcome Sara. Sara, how are you doing today?
Hi. Good. Chilly.
Yeah, so before we started this recording, Sara told me she was in Alaska. I guess, do you want to give us a brief explanation of what you're doing there?
Yeah, I'm actually working just at a bike rental shop. Just wanted to have a chill summer and enjoy the outdoors. I think Alaska is my place of nature and getting all that in, so that's why I decided to come here for another year. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I think Alaska is like one of my dream states that I just haven't visited yet. So, and I know that's also very different from where you grew up in Houston, right? Which is super
Oh,
hot.
for
So,
sure.
I guess like, can you kind of tell us a little bit about when you first realized that you wanted something more than just staying in your hometown?
Oh, I realized that from a young age. Actually noticed that from my dad because he traveled a lot from work. So he'd be in Sweden or Norway or Singapore, like all these different countries, and come home with like little gifts. And my sisters and I would just be like, "Oh my gosh, wow, thank you!" Like it was just really inspiring to see a parent just travel. Even like a lot of my family travel for work or do a lot of like volunteer stuff on the side through NGO. And so just seeing that again inspired. And so another thing, Houston, specifically the town that I'm from, very tight-knit community. I was like, nah, I cannot do this the rest of my life. I kind of already knew what I wanted at a young age. And I knew after I graduated high school, especially college, I wanted to somehow get out there. And that's actually how I found World Packers, was
That's
just doing
awesome.
online research. I'm
So
like,
you
I
did
want to
World
do that.
Cups. Was that after high school or was that after college?
That was actually during I think my senior year of high school, junior, senior year, I was like going through a rabbit hole and seeing people on social media platforms being like, I went to Italy and worked on an olive oil farm. I'm like, I want to do that. And so, and then that's how I found World Packers, is they would kind of shout it out like, this is how I found this cool gig.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah.
What's the first volunteering place you did?
It was in Big Islands in Hawaii. Actually, I had a friend that I met through doing contract work through traveling, telling me about it. And it was a hostel, and I was just doing reception and housekeeping. It was on the Hilo side. Um, and then, like, maybe a month after that, I went to Kona and did a homestay. So I got two different completely experiences through World Packer, homestay
That's so
and
cool.
hostel. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned contract work briefly. Can you maybe explain to viewers a little bit kind of what that entails and how you were involved in that before volunteering?
Yeah, I mean, it's not World Packers, per se, but it's similar. Like you have a host, it's usually like the company that you work for, and it's all throughout the United States. So it's strictly US based. There's some in like other outlying places, but mainly US. And I was like, oh, I found this gig in Alaska through a professor, actually. He introduced me to contract work, which eventually got me into World Packers. But you can do all kinds of stuff. It's mainly hospitality related, whether that be serving or even just guiding tours like sled dogs. I have friends that are working in the helicopter tours and doing the Iditarod and working with dogs all day, and they're currently living in the glaciers right now for 8 days, and then they have maybe like one day off here on the mainland. So,
Wow, wait, that's super crazy. I know that's super
yeah.
awesome. I'm totally okay that it's not World Packers. I think
Okay,
still
I was like, I
really-
feel
no,
bad
no,
because
no.
like
No, definitely a super valuable experience, and I think also more realistic. I mean, I know a lot of our travelers end up doing various things, and World Packers is just one part of that, and that's totally fine. And is that how you ended up in Alaska?
So yeah, I found out initially through a professor in college a few years ago. That's how I ended up my first gig in Seward, Alaska. I was working on this kind of off-grid wilderness lodge. And so I was like a server there. It was fine dining. It was like literally such a dream. And then from that experience, I actually ended up in Antarctica last year. So it's like each gig, whether it be World Packers or a seasonal contract work, you always meet people that kind of introduce you to the next company you may want to work for, or like give you ideas of where you may want to travel next. And you end up having a lot of connections throughout your travels that lead you to really cool places. Um, so I highly recommend it. I mean, I never thought I'd actually be um, living in this. I have like beautiful mountains and trees in the background and so different than Houston, Texas, let me tell you that.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Did you say Antarctica?
yeah, so I was there for 8 months last year and I got that gig through meeting a seasonal worker um, like 4 or 5 years ago. Um, so connections, man, connections, they
Wow.
can
Yeah,
take
no,
you.
I've heard someone tell me they were like, "Oh, your network is your net worth," and I think that's definitely
It's
true.
so true.
What were
It's not what you know to, for sure, retweet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What was the contract work that you were doing in Antarctica? I mean, I'm sure that's like a very rare opportunity. It's also quite remote.
Yeah. So I was doing an entry level position. I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, I was in Antarctica, but don't get it twisted. I was washing dishes. I was a food steward there. But I think it was just honestly probably one of the most amazing gigs I've had there. Like I've experienced living in darkness for 3 months, navigating life with that. But you also have the most amazing community of people and artists and creatives that I've ever met in my life. Um, I was like, whoever's in charge of HR for all these departments does a really good at hiring super cool people. And I actually even met a person there that offered me a job to go back again for the summer winter season. Um, and they already did all this paperwork and stuff for me. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's not what you know, it's who you know that can like really set you up. I mean, that's how I found about World Packers was through a friend that I met in Alaska. They told me, "Hey, work for this hostel in Hawaii. It's super fun, super cool." Ended up working at the other Maui location a few months ago and explored a lot of the Hawaiian Islands.
That's
So,
super awesome. Wow, you've been everywhere. I
I
think
really haven't. I
yeah.
really haven't, but
I think I don't know if you would know this person, but I was when I was in Australia, I think I met this guy in a hostel and he was also on his way to go work for work in Antarctica and he was flying out
really,
of either Australia or New Zealand. And I don't remember his name, but he said he was working also as like some sort of like food stewardship company and he
no
mentioned like I
way.
mean, I think he's called like Ghana U or something like
You
that, but
gonna you?
uh
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is that the one you went with?
That's the contractor. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like small world. Like I don't know
Maybe
how
I
I
know
know.
him. Maybe.
You might
Or know of
actually.
him.
He's
Like we just
he's
crossed
also an
paths.
American. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
been
yeah.
there like 6 different times. But yeah, no, that's super cool.
Wow.
I guess do you have any, let's say for I guess the travelers listening who maybe want to kind of get started but are afraid to look for this stuff, like do you have any advice on someone who maybe doesn't have connections or is like, looking to get into this field?
Yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, even one gig can change your life. I just say just apply. Like even I mean, highly recommend saving money. Obviously like plane ticket and not every World Packers gig is created the same in the sense of, you don't always have free food. You may not always have access to a vehicle or a bike or something like that. But I recommend like saving a little bit of money and just doing it. Like I love like meeting people traveling for their first time doing their first gig and then like seeing them fall in love with traveling essentially and then being like, I want to do it again. Like this was like the best time of my life. Like and then they go off to do amazing things in their life from that. So just do it, man. Just rip the band-aid off. I think that's one of you just gotta do it, man.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, so you've reached these remote places that seem kind of unreachable to most. I mean, I think a lot of Americans I know have never been to Alaska, even though it's part of the US,
Mm,
and then obviously Antarctica is much farther. Would you say that like that's
yeah.
kind of the type of place that you prefer when you travel? Or I mean, but
I
I know on the other hand, like Hawaii is like
guess.
super touristy, right? So
No, I tend to like subconsciously choose very remote places because even when like my previous Alaska gigs, so it was on an island. So the only way you can get there is via boat. Otherwise,
Mm.
or maybe kayak. But like even like Antarctica, like you can't just leave unless you quit. And even then, like you have to wait for a plane to come down and it costs thousands, if not millions of dollars because they use military planes to get down there. So I don't know. I guess I happen to like wilderness, just like in the middle of nowhere and just experiencing a completely different lifestyle. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think so I kind of want to ask you about like loneliness. And I mean, I know, for example,
Yeah.
Antarctica, I've read a few articles, I mean, blogs from people who have been there, and everyone says that, like, oh, like, kind of like you were mentioning earlier, it's dark all the time. There's not that many people there. Like, the internet is slow. You can't just call a friend. Like, you
Yeah.
typically do. Like, can you kind of tell us through, walk us through the experience? Like, what is it actually like to live there on the day to day and kind of deal with, I don't know, did you ever feel lonely? Did you ever feel homesick? Like, what was that like?
First off, I've never felt lonely, which I feel like Antarctica is like in an adult college. You
Mm.
have parties, you have like dormitory, you have roommates. Like I literally felt like I was in college. You have like a food, what is that called? Like a food lounge? I can't even think of it at the
Cafeteria?
top of. Yeah, you have a cafeteria there. You have all these clubs like we had a few people start a jiu-jitsu club, a crafting club, like reading about flowers club. I don't know, just random
Wow.
stuff. People would have their own podcast. We had our own podcast room. Like there's a lot of stuff. It's essentially like a small town. Like it's very much built up, which is crazy. But yeah, I was never lonely. Like if anything, like I sought that out by picking particular shifts there because I wanted to do some like inner work. But again, like I never felt lonely. If anything,
That's
sometimes I just
fun.
felt overstimulated because there's so much
Really?
going on and you're on such a small space. But I loved it. I mean, again, I would go back in a heartbeat for sure.
Yeah. Were
It
you
was hard
on
though.
one of the
Winter's hard.
I can imagine, yeah. Were you on one of the research bases?
Yeah, so I was in McMurdo. There's 3 United States bases. Yeah, but I was on the main big one. But I was staying during winter, so it's a lot. I was living with maybe 275 people for a few months, which is actually nice because you get to kind of know everyone, um, and see what they do. I mean, it's insane. It's like a snow globe down there. It's just a completely different world, and
That's
you're
funny.
kind of shut off from the news and again, internet. So,
Yeah. Are
yeah.
you allowed to go outside at all? Like, I don't know, just like take a walk and, and get some space?
Yeah, I mean, they have rules. Um, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, like we would go to the sauna, which that saved all of our lives to get like some sort of heat simulation.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, you can go walk through dormitories. They have a gym. They have like other things over there, a coffee shop. I was a barista down there at one point. Like it's just like random stuff. Like, um, but yeah, I would
Wow,
go
that's
outside
super
all the time.
amazing. So I know a lot of people, the reason why they decide to travel is kind of to find themselves. And would you say that there's anything in particular that you kind of learned about yourself that you never would have discovered if you had just stayed in Houston?
Oh, I don't think I could. I think I'm the type of person like if something is bothering me, I would do it. I would find a way to do it. So maybe I don't have like the best answer to that question.
Mm.
Because I feel like I'm pretty in tune with myself. And with that, like again, if I would feel the kind of like that tug on me, I'd be like, go out, get a plane ticket. I was like, I don't know. Again, I kind of like what you were mentioning earlier, is like just do it. I don't know. I don't have the
That's good.
best
That's good. I think
response
that's a
for
good
that.
response because, like, if you, I don't know, I feel like if you can't pinpoint one thing, it probably just means that you have no, like, I mean, maybe not many big regrets and that you've done everything that kind of, you feel like you should do, which I think is amazing.
Oh yeah, no
And
regrets.
kind of like, I guess, do you think traveling, being on the road is a forever thing for you? Or like, how has this kind of changed the way that you look at your career and your future and next steps?
Yeah, I mean, I even now I've questioned that. Because that's a whole other thing. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be traveling for quite a while. Until it's time, and I think again with being very in tune with myself, I think I know when that time is coming to an end. I'll feel it.
Mm.
But for now, I think for sure I'm like, no, there's still so much out there I want to do. Like I have a whole bucket list and there's a lot of World Packers gigs I still have on my wish list that I'm like, nah, I gotta do this like
Yeah.
after
What are some things
Juno.
on your bucket list?
Italy.
Okay.
My family, like somehow I found out owns like an olive oil company. And so I was like wanting to do like a World Packers gig there and then like meeting up with the family and being like, what? Maybe working at a vineyard. I really like wine, so I want to learn about like how that process works and what it means to create a company in a different country and how that process works. Go to Japan, learn about matcha, more about matcha. I love matcha. I'd like to see again the process with that. Um, go to the Swiss Alps. I saw there's a gig there. I mean, I want, there's so many things.
Okay. Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of Europe and plus
Yeah.
Japan, right?
Yeah, but Japan. It's just like South America, every
Okay. So
continent.
kind of now everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess in high school, did you have any kind of like, did you kind of imagine yourself living this life, or was there more like a traditional, like kind of 9 to 5 job that you were always like, oh, that's my
Ooh,
dream
no.
job before all of this?
No way. I was like, I knew right away, like senior year for sure. I was like, corporate, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like, at least
Mm.
not now. Like, I'm not closed off to it, but I'm just a free spirit that I'm like, no way. That's why I keep on doing these contract seasonal gigs. And then after I do World Packers, I think that I can make a routine out of that, like a solid
Mm.
foundation out of that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I knew I didn't want to do 9 to 5. And I kind of, I guess in a sense, quote unquote, I've been like manifesting and making vision boards and lists that I one day want to travel. I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to somehow get there. I just don't know
yeah,
how or who I need to meet to like launch me off. Because back then I thought I needed to like know people and XYZ, but you really, I mean, yes and no. I think the first step is just like getting out there, and then from there, you can meet people that can introduce you to their social group and to other groups that can, and that essentially leads to networking. But
yeah. No, I agree with that. I think a lot of people, there's this kind of common misconception. It's that like you have to have a lot of money to travel, but I think like, I mean, I also have done backpackers volunteering stuff in the past, and like for that, it was more like, okay, I bought my plane ticket, but that's really all because once you're there, it's like you're all taken care of. And there's also definitely like cheap ways to find flights and stuff.
oh
I mean, I know
yeah,
right now like gas and oil prices are crazy, but yeah,
yeah.
I think definitely like it's a lot more possible and a lot more doable than a lot of people think it is, just because I think people are too scared to try just because of like what we hear about travel being expensive.
It's a fear. I think if anything, the most common thing I get through social media, through messages, it's like, oh, that's amazing. I wish I could do that. And then I rebuttal with like, well, you can. And
Yeah.
then the response is usually, well, I'm scared. It's like
Mm.
this fear within them of, I guess, maybe the unknown of, they have this stable job, they can't just leave, which I understand. Um, but I've seen so many gigs. Like I stayed in Kauai through World Packers for, you can say for only a week. Like some places, it's even just like 5 days. Like you don't have to make a full commitment and leave your lease or whatever back at home and quit your job. Like you can still like take a little vacation and still do gigs and have extremely meaningful experience. And again, you don't have to be rich either. That's another, like what you're saying, a common misconception. I know people, like when I was in Hawaii, they're like, yeah, I literally have $5 in my bank account. I'm like, that's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
people are so real with that. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. You can still like, and I know people who do World Packers and then they find like a part-time job in the area and a way to like
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
little bit of money. Like there's definitely ways. You just got to really work on it and have some sort of plan, but it's definitely not impossible for sure.
Yeah.
Like
So
if
how do
you
you do
want
it then?
something.
How do you
Like travel or
like
what?
part-time jobs? Like I guess like, for the parts between the contract jobs, like do you just save up from the contract jobs or do you just work
Mhm.
remotely? Like kind of how do you make that work?
That's how I do that. That's what I've been doing the past now 3 years is I'll do a contract job and then I'll save. I'll kind of budget how much I want to save and kind of research where I want to go, the cost of living via like plane tickets, because again, prices have increased. Yeah. And then, currency, like seeing like how much the US dollar can go in maybe another country or another state where, inflation is high. Um, and then, yeah, I book my plane ticket. I go incognito mode, get notifications once a plane ticket has decreased in price, buy it, and then do something for about a month or two, and then do another seasonal contract work to make money so I can afford to just vacation essentially through Podpackers for a little bit. So it's like
I love
this
that. On and
nice
off kind of
little,
cycle, right?
it's nice.
Yeah, amazing. So kind of, I know these episodes go super quick, and as we're kind of running out of time here, my last question for you then is, what's next after Alaska?
Well, I had a plan that kind of fell through. But it's kind of nice because now I have the freedom to kind of just do whatever I want now and travel wherever I want to go. I have no idea. I have probably another World Packers gig for sure. I'm just not sure where. My goal every year that I made for myself is to travel to a new country. And so it'll probably just be a country I've never been to and stay for about a month or two.
That's
Do
awesome.
something with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super fun. I don't know is always a great answer to what's next because you have so many opportunities, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so for all of our listeners today, if you're sitting in your bubble and you're wondering if the life you've always wanted is actually possible, you should listen to Sara. And as she says, life is short, so make the decision, go see the
True.
world. Yeah, exactly. You can follow her journey in the show notes. And if you're ready for your own leap, you can go to worldpackers.com for volunteer opportunities. I'm Clarissa. This has been Podpackers. Happy travels, everyone. And thank you so much, Sara, for joining us.
Yes, thank you.